Welcome to the CBIA BizCast powered by Google. On this podcast, we dive into stories about Connecticut businesses.
Downs Construction actually came to my school.
And business leaders.
I think it's always also really important to be able to see a path forward
for shaping the future of Connecticut's economy.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Marlowe, and today we have some treats here with us today. We have the CFO of PopUp Bagels, Jamie Lissette. Welcome to the BizCast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We know a lot of people have used your name, Jamie Lissette, with Athletic Brewing.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that in a second. But first, tell us, what is PopUp Bagels?
So PopUp Bagels is about a 2-year-old company that was started in during COVID by Adam Goldberg in Westport, Connecticut. It was during COVID, and he was baking. Like everybody was starting to bake and really figure out what recipes he could do and just to have fun, and when he was at home all the time, right? And he started selling these bagels out of his back window of his kitchen. So his friends would come, and I'm good friends with him, so I'd come by his backyard, get a dozen bagels, get some butter or schmear or something like that, and take them home. And we were saying, this is incredible product, right? Freshly made hot bagels, right? It's very rare to get that. As a breakfast treat. Most of them are a couple days old or something by the time you get them. They're a little bit dense, I guess is the word. And so he started this. Fast forward 2 or 3 years, he opened a store in Westport, opened another store in Greenwich, and then in the city, and it's really just exploded, I think, because the quality of the product, it's baked within 30 minutes of you eating it. Most likely it's coming out hot. They've got a variation on the butter and the schmear every week. So it's just this new experience of fresh, hot made bagels that are incrable. So.
And was he like a baker before? What was he doing pre-pandemic?
He's always been a chef. He was never a professional chef, but was always sort of like a party chef and a dinner chef and things like that for friends and family. And he always had this idea of being an entrepreneur in the food space. And so once Westport opened, it was a success. Greenwich was a huge success, and then the city was an absolute lines out the door for they're hour-long lines, but they rotate so quickly because of the concept. So the concept is you walk in, you've pre-ordered this bagel, or you've walked in. If you walked in, you unfortunately have to maybe wait a little bit longer. But if you pre-ordered, you're picking up a dozen bagels. I'm set it for Sunday at 8 o'clock. I drive by or I walk in depending on the store, and I grab it, and I've got this really fresh, hot thing with a variation every week on the butter and the schmear. So you got this really great concept of I'm gonna take this home, or what we say is grip, rip, and dip. A lot of people just come out.
You can show us.
They'll come out of the store, and they'll take a bagel, and you'll see them walking in Washington Square Park, for example, in New York City, and they're just dipping in like this. And diving right in. Now I'll probably have seeds in my teeth. But
and they're delicious.
Thank you. And they're just so good, and they're addictive and freshly made. We make all the products ourselves. So it's just a new concept. High volume.
We can let you finish.
High volume, and you're quick and out of the store with a great tasting product. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. We have, for those of you who are listening, we have a great selection here. And I had first heard about them from some friends who were in, the Fairfield County area.
Wow, great.
Had you heard about this? And they brought them to some brunch that we had last year. And they were still hot when they got to where we were, an hour from there. That was pretty incredible. And I think a lot of times right now, when people hear about some different bagels and bakeries, a big thing has been kind of the breakfast sandwich. But this is really more about the bread and the spread. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Well said, I think. In fact, in the Thompson Street location, it says we don't make sandwiches. I think, historically, if you go to a bagel store, a lot of times you're sitting in this long line that's not moving. So we may have a line, but it moves so fast. You have somebody coming in and saying, I'll have an everything bagel, half toasted, red onion and salmon on it. And then my second one will be this, and my third one will be this. And you suddenly have a 10-minute to 15-minute preparation time. It takes us about 20 minutes from start to finish of the whole process to produce the bagels for our customers. So it's there prior to them coming in. So you're literally, most of our customers are in and out within 2 minutes once they're in the store. So.
And the spreads really are kind of a big shining aspect as well. Yeah. Tell me a little bit, you know, they're a bit rotated. How does that work?
So we take the opportunity to do a lot of collaborations with spreads, right? It's a great way for us to get marketing and PR. We've done one with Utz potato chips, with their cheese balls.
It all started when my mom met my dad, and they fell in love, and they had me.
Right, and we've made a butter with it, right? And it's just a unique way of getting a variation every week. We did that with Athletic, where, you know, we did 67 beers in a month. And so, you know, the idea of giving your customers variation every week is really nice, and it gets them into the stores and reorders and everything, because they want to try something new. So.
And, you know, similar to Athletic story, what we're seeing already with PopUp is just incredible growth right away. Can you talk a little bit about that, and the demand for these bagels?
I mean, you know, so we've grown year over year in every store that we've opened. So we only have 5 stores. One of them's the New York City. In the next 6 months, we'll add almost 7 stores. I was talking with somebody the other day, and the unique thing about our stores is not one has foot traffic at all, and all of our new 7 stores will have foot traffic. So in terms of the growth, we actually don't know what we don't know yet, as how explosive it can be when we're opening Upper West Side, Upper East Side, Williamsburg, Hoboken, Midtown, near Madison Square Garden, and so we'll have this incredible foot traffic that we never had before. We're also opening in Roslyn, Long Island, and Fairfield, Connecticut. So these are all ongoing, either in construction or demolition or, you know, final lease negotiations. But our second phase of that growth will be franchising. So we'll be at some point, and there's all these rules about franchising, so I won't go into too much on franchising, but we will be offering our business through a franchise system eventually. So.
And that model can really replicate fast.
Yeah, and we, like I said, we make all of our own products here in Connecticut. We love Connecticut, obviously. That's why we're on the podcast as well. And we love working with the state and Paul Lavoie and the manufacturer CT. We can replicate our production facility very not cheaply, but very quickly, and with not a huge dollar commitment versus other manufacturing processes. So we've got this great runway to really become nationwide with the concept if it holds. So.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of the manufacturing process and when that started up here in Connecticut?
Yeah, we've always made them in Connecticut. So in Newtown, Connecticut, we just opened. We actually just had our grand opening yesterday because there's a storefront associated with our commissary. But we've got a huge production team. We've got a great president of manufacturing, comes from the bagel business and worked with one of the larger bagel chains in the country, and really brought his expertise and his know-how to be able to not only build a facility from scratch, but say, tell me when and we can replicate this, you know, either here in the same building or, you know, down the street or something like that. So we've got all the legs for continued growth in place. And we have not seen any indication that this new concept of bringing a fresh, hot bagel to the masses in the format that we do is ever going to wane. So.
Yeah, it's really, you know, you think about it and it's okay, it's bagels and smear. Like, right. You know, it seems like such a basic concept, but the way that you guys have been able to put this together, market it, kind of get these stores up and running, it's brilliant.
Yeah, really. Thank you. Well, I've only been here for 2 months, so I'll take, you know, maybe 1% of the of the recognition there. So,
but I think one of the things that people have related to with the story of PopUp Bagels is how it started, right? Yeah. It was that, you know, pandemic, in your house, playing in the kitchen, selling out of your home window. Right. But there's also another aspect of this, I think, which is the social media buzz around PopUp Bagels, and kind of, you know, we saw that, I think, in the success of the New York City store. Can you tell me kind of what role Instagram and TikTok really have played in this?
Yeah, Instagram in particular has been huge for us. Adam, our founder, is probably one of the best marketers out there because he's doing all of this with almost little to no spend, right? Like any growth company that I've ever invested in or been involved in has a huge portion of their revenue going to marketing at the beginning, and we have the opposite, right? Almost nothing. Right? It's all homegrown, done authentically. It's fun. Yes, there's a celebrity concept to it, or a part of it, but they're coming in the store because they've heard about it and they love it. And Adam's so engaging that he's able to sort of get them, on camera being supportive of the brand. So we're not having to pay for any of it. It's just really organic because people love the product. So it makes it really super easy.
Paul, you're working for tips today, right? Yeah.
What surprised you the most about that form of, marketing, really?
To me, it's shocking that you can get people to do something for free. I think it's really unique, and it just talks to Adam, but it talks to the product of the bagel. The quality is just there. I've seen thousands of one takes of people trying, which you probably have if you've seen the channel, of trying it and saying, "Oh my God, this is the best bagel I've ever had," type thing, right? And then those people come back and back and back. For a brand we're still so small to have that recognition. I've been in the Caribbean wearing a pop-up shirt and had people, "Oh my God, I love those. Where, can I get one of those shirts?" type things. So it's really getting across the country, even though we have 5 stores. So I guess to answer your earlier question, Instagram has reached people all over the country, if not the world, about this little bagel shop concept and made people understand it, to the point where they're, hopefully thinking about PopUp Bagels as those are bagels now. There's a new standard of quality that, and I hear it is, "Oh my God, we do not have any good bagels in XYZ area." I'm not going to name out the names because, it's very neighborhoody, but, there's nothing around me for 30 miles. "Oh my God, I can't wait till you guys come to, the Upper West Side or the Upper East Side or wherever else we're going." So there's a real buzz about it, but the foundation of it is the quality of this product.
Yeah, so I think one of the things, about what we're seeing from social media is the bases that aren't strong enough, the product that's not strong, it really gets high and then it kind of fizzles out. But with PopUp Bagels, the bagel and the product is so strong that you can continue to project that growth and marketing through these platforms.
Yeah. I think the task for us is really how do we improve, right? Because these bagels are not hot because I had them made at 8:30, right? And it's probably 11 o'clock or 10:30 right now, so they're not hot. But how do we improve our own processes so that you're just getting closer and closer to a true hot bagel every time, not sometimes, every time that you come in, and that's just going to come over time. For us, it's having the right people in the store, having the right technology to sort of get everybody in and out with their ordering and make it super convenient for the customer, and that helps us get the product perfect, right? So those 3 things are going to help us succeed, so I want your head to say every single time that I walk in there to that store, I'm getting something that blows my mind in terms of the quality and the freshness. And there's not a person in the world that doesn't like a hot bagel with butter or something.
Anyone who says that is lying to you, right?
So it's just, so we do have this unique ability, and bagels were usually an afterthought to a store. You have a bagel store, but it's all the other things I'm going to put on it. Like we said earlier, we're really truly about the bagel. The schmears and the butters are awesome and they're great complements, but the bagel itself is perfected. We have a lot of technology that allows us to get there, from quality control. We have an internal Slack channel that sends the pictures of not every bake, but a couple times a day. And the founder and our QC team can look and be like, "Hey, I think maybe adjust that oven 2 degrees hotter. It's a pretty humid day. The humidity might be taken away from the golden bake or something, the golden crust." And so we'll do these things on the fly and always perfecting our processes. So.
Wow. And made right here in Connecticut.
Made right here in Connecticut, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's a great part for Connecticut that we've been able to help this take off for sure.
Well, the original bagels were out of New Haven too,
New
right?
Haven.
I don't know the original bagels.
Oh, the original bagel.
Not the original because New York would probably differ, but
Yes.
New Haven has its own bagel story. So from another former, I guess it was in the 80s that was a big thing, but New Haven did have a bagel. So
yeah, well, we have a lot of Connecticut listeners, so I think we can really pull that up.
Yeah, they'll know who we're talking about. So great people, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of, I know you've only been with the company for a short time, but what are some of the challenges, with this kind of rapid growth and expectations? What are some of the challenges that you guys have seen and overcame?
It's controlled chaos. Opening one store in a 6-month period of time frame would probably be challenging. So to open 7 or maybe 10, or 12 in a year, you've got different general contractors, you've got different architects, because you're in different locations, you have permitting, you have all these other things, right? People. So, how do we staff these places, and how do we make sure that we get the right people and that they have a good environment and a good wage scale and all these other things. So building teams from scratch, building HR systems from scratch, building a procurement team, building a transportation team, building a franchise team, building all of these things are essentially coming from scratch. They were doing great prior to me arriving. It's just now the explosion goes from 5 stores to 150% more, or literally overnight. And then how do we set ourselves for success? So that's where hopefully I'm helping. We got a fantastic team. We've done a lot of great hires since even coinciding when I was hired and since then. So we're building out our whole retail ops. We've got a nice org structure for the individual stores so that when people come and work with us, they know how they can progress through the organization and get to become leaders themselves, right? We offer competitive wages. There's a great tips schedule system, and and we have good hours because we are, in general, we're only open from 7 to 2, so somebody can go and also take, go to school and things like that. And we offer that flexibility for that, which is really helpful. So challenges are the same as they were at Athletic or anywhere else when you're building, is you're starting from something and trying to create something and coordinating a lot of different people and different teams to keep up with you if you're moving fast. And that's probably the hardest part. So.
And that's something that a thing or two about.
Absolutely, yes.
So you mentioned this was a friend of yours. Mm-hmm. Is that, kind of how did you come into the picture here?
Yeah, so with Athletic, it was an awesome 5 years. Love everybody there. We're still extremely friendly. I still have breakfast with Bill every month, and we talk and reminisce and talk about other projects that I'm thinking about or working on and things like that. But
Bagels and Brews has a real nice ring to it.
Bagels and Brews. There's yeast in both. So I guess I stayed in the yeast business. Not that I understand it whatsoever and how it works, but the transition for me was this sort of serendipitous thing where, in 5 years, we had gone from 8 people to 250 at Athletic. Our revenues went up 50-fold or something like 55-fold, something like that. We built 2 humongous breweries, one in San Diego and one in Milford. And for me, it was kind of like we became the #1 non-alc beer in America. And at my age in my career, it was like, okay, what's next? I like to build. Like, we're on top. If I'm ever going to take my next chance, right, this is the time. And I mentioned serendipitous, but it literally fell into my pocket of like, well, you could come over here. PopUp Bagels is backed by a PE firm. I knew the PE firm, had a great talk with them about how they saw the vision of this exploding really over the next couple of years. And, for me, it was really just a great, I want to build. I'm an investor in PopUp Bagels. I was on the board of PopUp Bagels. With Athletic, I was an investor in Athletic and an employee, and so now it's like, if that's my recipe for success, knock on wood, maybe it'll happen again and I'll be able to do it one more time here, and then who knows from here. So.
And these are the types of challenges, the challenges that you just mentioned are the challenges that kind of get you excited and your brain flowing.
It's awesome to complete something that wasn't there, right? And so you start and you're like, okay, well, here's my steps. Okay, here's the people I need to, to keep up with me, right? And I think that's the big, I mentioned that before. I think that's like the biggest thing when you're really building fast is you need to have everybody else in your team or outside the organization that are helping you keep up with you, because you can't walk in one day and then somebody from the outside or inside says, oh shoot, I forgot to order that, it's another month, and you're like, wait, I got 99% done, but I'm missing the 1% and now I can't open. We had the same thing with athletic. We had 1 year to build the facility and we did it in 11 and a half months, right? And that was, anybody who's listening from that team remembers we said at the very beginning, we're going to have some screaming matches, but we have a deadline and we have to meet it. And it's just that constant pushing each other. And if everybody's on the same trajectory with you and they understand it, then you get there. But you have to keep the pressure on and you have to keep moving.
And how important is, I know you talked about it a little bit, but from your experience at Athletic and now here, how important are those key team members to this equation?
Huge. People is everything in any organization. If you don't have the right people with you, you really, I don't think you can succeed. You maybe succeed, it just may take 10 times longer, right? Or with a lot more ups and downs and a lot more heartache and missteps and things like that. If you have the right people and you're all aligned, you can accomplish anything so much quicker and so much better if you just all see eye to eye and you're all pushing for the exact same thing. You're all giving it the same effort. You're all communicative, right? And all those different things add up to success when you're trying to build something. So.
What do you think is the biggest kind of takeaway from your experience with Athletic that you've kind of transitioned to now? Is there kind of, one or two kind of nuggets of information that maybe, entrepreneurs or, people who've had these startups that are now exploding, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I think it's this structure and communication and organization, right? Because I think what happens too many times, people, we don't need an HR department. Oh, we don't need an SOP for this. No, we don't need. The one thing I learned at Athletic is I learned I was more of a individual entrepreneur before. I built a company for 17 years. I was CEO. I was everything, right? And I had 6 or 7 people with me at the end. So we had 7 people, but I made every decision ultimately. And I learned that you can't do that when you're really trying to expand, right? So there's 2 ways that you can grow. You can go really, really slow and sometimes always profitable, and that's great. And you own every decision, and you can get there. And that worked for me for that company because it was 17 years before I sold it. But with Athletic, we're going to grow really fast, right? And so what I think is you have to have this ability to. What I learned at Athletic is using things like Gmail and Google Docs and Google Sheets and allowing everybody to have access to them so that they see your vision and you make everything collaborative. So I would say, hey, Amanda, I put this job description. It's on Google Docs, right? I want to post it tomorrow. Give me your comments and it's going live. Right? That's the simplicity of doing something really fast. You give the comments, I go, great, okay, you know more than I do probably, so let's do it, and you just do it. So it's not 100% perfect, and somebody else could have made that better, but we got it posted. We got job applications coming in. We've started the process versus being perfect, right? And there's a lot of books that talk about getting done versus perfect and things like that. But
that's kind of crazy to think about too, right? For 17 years, you were, like you said, making all the decisions. Everything was kind of getting funneled, and then one day, then you're not. You walk somewhere else, and you're not.
Right. And then you have to get buy-in from other people, and you have to, and that as companies progress, right? They just get bigger. They get more administrative, right? And maybe not less collaborative because it's not fair, but it's things take longer, right?
Was that hard for you as a leader to transition from?
We were moving so fast that I don't think I noticed. Right?
You didn't have time to blink.
Right, and you do notice it. You do notice it anywhere over the years, and you've worked with the same people, and you get to the point where things are just slower in general, right? And they don't need to be fast, right? You need to be more thoughtful about your decisions versus like it doesn't have to be perfect. I just need to get it done, right? And so I'm trying to take the blend of both of those now with PopUp and really setting organization stuff in place that even at Athletic I wouldn't have at this stage, right? So I'm being proactive, knowing the benefits of it, doing it now. I'm trying to institute it without becoming bureaucratic, but still like, hey, it's really helpful for us to have all of our format job descriptions in the same format, right? It's really helpful for us to have an org chart that makes sense. It's really helpful for us to, have Gantt charts about all of our projects for the real estate expansion, all these things. And people go, whether there's resistance or not, people I think ultimately say, yeah, that was helpful. Like it is good to have one place I can check to see, like what tile we're using in the stores and what, and this and that, because if we are going to open another 10, call it in the next year after this, right, you're going to be doing one a month. Like you don't want to be, duplicating all your efforts each time. So.
And sometimes when you're going so fast, it's hard to remember the importance of those things.
I mean, I have a daily checklist, and I'm like, with all the locations and like, where are we permit-wise? Where are we this and this? And if anybody's listening that's on that team, they're like, yeah, I wish you would stop texting me or calling me every day to see where we are on something, And unfortunately, I think sometimes you need to do that if you're going to push this fast. So,
how big is the team right now?
About 45. But we'll be, once the stores open in the next 4 or 5 months, all of them will be at 100. So quickly, we'll be at 100. We'll double the size in the 4 months that I will have been there by then, right? In essence, so.
Yeah, and like as you mentioned, some of the flexibility with the scheduling, and there's other areas, but that's a lot of people to hire. In a short period of time.
It's a lot, and we have essentially a one person HR team. Actually, I'll give a pitch to CBIA.
I was going to say
your hotline we use for HR is incredible, like super helpful, and the person on your side can maybe attest, but they probably get a call from us 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay. So you're just keeping Diane McCrisky employed.
Yes, I'm not sure if it's Diane. There's somebody else, but
and Philip.
Philip, I think it's Philip. But we're, our HR person is calling a lot and just saying like, hey, am I missing something here? Am I doing, is there any flag that you would call out that I may be misstepping here, right? And it just gives us the confidence. Like, I checked with CBIA. They said it was probably okay. Again, it goes to this, like, maybe it's not perfect because I haven't gone to an HR attorney at this point for it, but I'm getting enough of it to say that it looks like it's right, it feels like it's right. I got a confirmation that they don't see an issue. Let's just move forward and let's start hiring and doing the things that we need to do. So,
and in terms kind of going in that direction, you mentioned CBIA, and obviously we're a partner and a supporter here, but how important are other partnerships and other levels of support in this as well?
Super important. I mean, we have our accountants are in this building as well. I noticed downstairs. For everything from finance to our legal, because we're going into the franchise, our legal support is invaluable. Franchise itself is this whole different thing that I'm learning about very quickly.
A new beast.
Yes, I've read the Franchise Bible and some other things, and had a lot of discussions. And I'm back to doing red lines of agreements, which I did at Athletic a lot as well. So I'm used to it. But it's sort of invaluable, the support that we get from our private equity firm that backed us. They're on call, and the other day I was discussing a bonus plan and was able to talk to one of their operational leaders there, who gives me a lot of good feedback and says, do this, maybe not do that. Like, I'd watch out for this and this and this. And, and we can go really fast that way by having this sort of on-call support. So.
And people that you trust and companies.
100%. So, and luckily it's interesting. A lot of the same names from Athletic, I'm seeing again here, so.
One big circle, quite literally.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Well, thank you so much. You
Yeah.
know, I think we're excited to see what's in store for you and
thank
for
you.
PopUp Bagels, and I think we can expect to have these at some of our maybe future events.
Anytime you guys want, we do catering and things like that, so it's super easy to set it up, and we've got even delivery setups and things like that, so we can always help you out. So.
Great. Well, thank you so
Great,
much for
yeah.
being
Thanks
here,
so
and
much.
thank you for listening
Appreciate
to
it.
this week's BizCast. You can listen, and subscribe to our BizCast wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review and let us know if you have ideas for a future podcast. And for more episodes, head on over to CBIA.com.